Some of you walked in here today carrying the weight of yesterday. But God sent me to tell you, your yesterday does not have the power to define your tomorrow. God is clearing the road, shifting the atmosphere, paving a path with your name written on it. There are seasons in life when everything feels tangled, doors slam, opportunities dry up, people walk away, and you start wondering, Lord, where do I go now? But what you cannot see is that God is already behind the scenes, rewriting your destiny, preparing a fresh beginning, smoothing the rough places, and making a way where you thought there was no way. I came to announce to somebody in this room, get ready! Get ready for a shift. Get ready for a breakthrough. Get ready for a new chapter God himself is authoring. Because when God starts paving your path, no devil can block it. No person can stop it, and no past mistake can cancel it. You're stepping into a fresh start ordained by heaven. Sometimes in the middle of your everyday life, the situations that confuse you the most are the very ones God is using to guide your feet. You may look around and see clutter, chaos, and closed doors. God sees the entire map. Every turn, every obstacle, every blessing, every breakthrough. And while you're trying to figure out what's happening, God is preparing what's next. Maybe you're like the person driving through thick fog early in the morning. You can barely see 3 feet ahead. Your hands are tight on the wheel, and you're just praying you don't drift out of your lane. You don't know what's around the corner, but you keep moving inch by inch, trusting that the road is still there, even though you can't see it. That's how life feels sometimes. You're moving, but you're not sure if you're moving in the right direction. Yet God is already clearing the path beyond the fog, making a way where your eyes cannot yet reach. Some of the greatest miracles in your life happen in places you didn't even notice because God was working in the background, silently redirecting danger, removing people who would have sabotaged you, blocking opportunities that would have drained you, and protecting you from battles you never even knew were coming. God clears what you cannot see. And often, it's the things you do not get that are the greatest blessings of all. Think about the times you wanted something so badly. A job you thought was perfect, a relationship you believed would last, an opportunity that seemed like the answer to everything. You prayed, you hoped, you planned your life around it. Suddenly, it slipped through your fingers. At the time, it felt like rejection. It felt like failure. It felt like God was silent. But months or years later, you look back and said, Lord, thank you for not giving me what I thought I needed. You didn't know what was behind that door, but God did. You didn't know the stress, the pain, the heartbreak, the betrayal, or the spiritual danger that would have come with that request. But God did. So he cleared it. He blocked it. He removed it. Not to punish you, but to protect you. Sometimes God will rearrange your whole life without asking for permission because he knows what's coming toward you. You might wake up one morning and something feels off. You lose interest in what you used to enjoy. Certain friendships just fade. The environment at work changes. The routine you once loved starts feeling uncomfortable. It's not random. That discomfort is God clearing your path. When God begins to move things out of your way, he doesn't always send explanations. He simply shifts things. He allows certain people to walk out. He closes doors you were banging on. He lets certain opportunities expire. Because if he didn't close those things, they would have closed you. They would have taken your peace, your joy, your purpose. Think of a gardener trimming a tree. To the untrained eye, it might look brutal. Branches falling, leaves dropping, pieces being cut off. But the gardener knows that removing those parts is the only way for the tree to grow stronger, taller, and healthier. The tree doesn't understand the cutting, but the gardener does. You may not understand what God is cutting, clearing, or removing in your life, but he does. There are people listening right now who don't even realize that God cleared danger out of your path last night. He cleared depression from swallowing you whole. He cleared a bad decision that would have wrecked your future. He cleared the plans of the enemy that were designed to break your spirit. You didn't see it, and you weren't meant to. Doesn't need you to see everything. He just needs you to trust him. Imagine a parent walking with a child down the street. The child is holding the parent's hand, but the parent is leading the way. The child doesn't notice the cracks in the sidewalk, the cars turning the corner, the distractions waiting to pull them aside. The parent sees it all and gently guides the child to safety. The child doesn't have to see the danger. Their only job is to hold the parent's hand and keep walking. That's you with God. You don't have to see it. You don't have to understand it. You just need to trust that He is guiding you around every unseen danger. And hear me, you're not walking blindly. You are walking faithfully. Blindness is when you move without direction. Faith is when you move because you trust the one who is directing you. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment, every closed door, God used it to clear your path. What you called a setback was actually a setup. What you thought was the end was only an intersection. What you thought was rejection was divine redirection. So even when it feels like nothing is happening, something is happening. God is clearing what you cannot see. He is preparing something better, bigger, and perfectly timed. And when the moment is right, when the road is ready, the blessing is aligned with your maturity, God will reveal what He was preparing all along. Until then, walk by faith, not by sight. God is clearing your path. Keep moving, keep trusting, keep believing. Your next step is already prepared. Sometimes the very thing you tried to avoid, the hardship, the heartbreak, ache that felt like it would tear you apart, was the thing God used to build you into who you were destined to become. Pain is never pleasant. It is powerful. Pain stretches you, molds you, strengthens you, and shapes you in ways comfort never could. When you look back over your life, you'll realize that your greatest growth didn't come from the easy days, but from the days you cried, the nights you wrestled, the moments you felt forgotten, and the seasons when you didn't know how you were going to make it. Pain is preparation because it reveals strength you didn't even know you had. Think of someone who goes to the gym for the first time in years. They pick up weights, they push, they strain, and the next morning their whole body aches. Feels sore, tired, stretched, but the soreness is proof that growth is happening. Muscles grow from resistance, not relaxation. In the same way, life's weight trains your character. The resistance you face, the disappointments, the setbacks, the unanswered prayers. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs that God is strengthening your spiritual muscles for where He is taking you next. Sometimes the pain in your life is the very thing that teaches you endurance. You learn to keep going when others quit. You learn to pray deeper when things don't make sense. You learn to trust God when you have no control. Pain pushes you into places you wouldn't have gone voluntarily, into new levels of dependence on God, new levels of maturity, new levels of clarity about who you are and what you're capable of. Think back to a moment when you thought, this is it. I can't take another hit. But somehow you made it through. Somehow you survived what you thought would break you. Somehow you kept breathing, kept fighting, kept believing. That wasn't your strength. It was the strength God forged in you through the fire. Every tear watered the soil of the future He was preparing. Every heartbreak built resilience. Every betrayal sharpened your discernment. Every loss deepened your compassion. You were being shaped, polished, and prepared. God uses pain like a potter uses pressure. When a potter shapes clay, they press, they squeeze, they stretch, they turn the clay on the wheel. To the clay, it may feel like chaos. To the potter, it's creation. Your pain wasn't chaos. It was crafting. God was molding you into a vessel strong enough to carry the blessings, responsibilities, and purpose He has for your life. If He had placed your calling in your hands before you went through the fire, the weight of it would have crushed you. But now you're stronger. Now you have foundation, depth, and stability. Your pain was also teaching you what love really is. Some of the people who hurt you weren't sent to destroy you. They were sent to reveal who truly belongs in your next season. You learn who can walk with you, who can pray with you, who can stand with you, and who was only assigned to your past. God allowed certain relationships to break so your heart could be free for something better. The pain was not punishment. It was preparation. Every time life disappointed you, God was preparing you. Every time you were overlooked, He was preparing you. Every time you felt alone, He was preparing you. Because sometimes God isolates you to elevate you. He will distance you from the crowd so you can develop the character needed to carry your calling. Even the painful seasons of waiting are preparation. Waiting teaches patience. Waiting teaches humility. Waiting teaches obedience. Waiting teaches you how to surrender your timeline and trust God's timing. And the thing about God's timing is this: when He finally releases the blessing, you understand why He made you wait. Because if He had given it to you too soon, you would not have valued it, stewarded it, or understood its magnitude. Think about a seed buried underground. In the darkness, it feels forgotten. In the soil, it feels pressure on every side. What the seed cannot see is that the very pressure surrounding it is the pressure that activates its growth. Without being buried, it could never rise. Without the darkness, it could never sprout. Without the covering, it could never break open. Your pain was the soil God buried you in, but you were never buried to dry. You were buried to grow. You were buried to become. You were buried to rise. And now, the very areas where you hurt the most are becoming the areas where you'll help others. Your pain is turning into wisdom. Your wounds are turning into testimonies. Your scars are turning into strength. There is nothing wasted with God. Not a tear, not a trial, a moment of heartbreak. He recycles everything. One day you will look back and realize the pain that tried to break me actually built me. The season that confused me actually prepared me. The struggle that hurt me actually strengthened me. You are stepping into a season where the pain of your past is going to collide with the purpose of your future. You may not understand it now, but you will, because everything you went through was not random. It was preparation. And when God finishes preparing you, nothing can stop what He's about to release in your life. There are moments in life when you knock with all your strength, waiting for a door to swing open, expecting an opportunity to unfold, believing that something you desire is finally within reach, only to find that the door stays shut, and not just lightly closed, but firmly, stubbornly, unmistakably shut. In that moment, it feels like rejection. It feels like failure. It feels like God is ignoring your prayers. But if you could see what God sees, if you could glimpse what's behind the scenes of that closed door, you would fall to your knees and thank Him for every no He ever gave you. Sometimes the greatest blessings of your life are wrapped in closed doors. Think about a time you were desperate for something. You wanted the job so badly that you convinced yourself it was your future. You imagined yourself working there, planned your finances, maybe even dreamed of the title. But then you got the email. We regret to inform you, your heart sank. You felt inadequate, overlooked, less than. But months later, you heard what happened. Layoffs, toxic environment, instability, or a company downfall. And suddenly the same door you were begging God to open became the door you thanked Him for closing. That wasn't rejection, that was redirection. That wasn't punishment, that was protection. Closed doors are evidence that God loves you too much to let you walk into what will wound you. Imagine a parent walking with their child toward a busy street. Child sees a colorful ball bounce into the road and tries to run after it, but the parent grabs them tightly before they can take a step. To the child, it feels unfair. Why can't I go? I want that ball. But to the parent, it's life-saving protection. That's how God handles you. You see something shiny, exciting, appealing, and you want it right now. But God sees the oncoming traffic, the unseen danger, the hidden harm. So He holds you back, blocks your path, closes the door, and saves your destiny. Sometimes God will close a door so powerfully that no amount of force on your part can open it. You can cry, beg, push, and plead, but it will not budge. The more you try to push your way in, the more frustrated you become. But God isn't trying to frustrate you. He's trying to preserve you. Think about relationships. Maybe there was someone you loved deeply, someone you thought was the one. You built dreams around them. You imagined a future. You held on to them even when the signs were clear, but then something shifted. They left, or things fell apart, or the connection faded. at the time felt like your heart broke into pieces. But if you look back now, you can see it with clarity. Door closing was the greatest act of love God ever extended towards you, because he knew what you didn't. He knew that staying with them would have drained you, distracted you, or destroyed your spirit. Closed doors are God saying, I love you too much to let you settle. You weren't created for mediocrity. You were created for purpose. And purpose requires the right environment, the right people, the right timing. A closed door is often God's way of removing what isn't aligned with your destiny. Picture a hallway with many doors. You knock on one, no answer. You knock on another, still no answer. And you start to think you're lost. What you don't realize is that if any of those doors had opened, you would have stopped walking. You would have settled too soon. The hallway experience forces you to keep moving, keep trusting, keep believing, until you reach the door God has prepared for you, the one that will open effortlessly, the one that fits you in ways the others never could. Closed doors create movement. They push you into growth. They redirect your focus toward where you are truly meant to be. Sometimes God closes a door because what's on the other side is too small for you. It's beneath the level of greatness he placed inside you. But because you can't see your full potential yet, you try to squeeze into spaces that cannot hold you. God closes the door so you don't shrink yourself to fit a place you've outgrown. Other times, door closes because your character needs more development before you enter that space. God won't let a blessing become a burden. He won't let success crush you. He won't let influence expose immaturity. So when you're not ready, the door stays closed, not as punishment, but as preparation. Daily life is filled with moments like this. A canceled plan that saved you from something harmful. A missed opportunity that made room for a better one. A delayed decision that protected you from rushing into disaster. Detour that connected you to the right people. It all works together silently and perfectly orchestrated by the one who sees every mile ahead. Closed doors are not the end of your story. They are part of your protection. So instead of asking, God, why did you close it? Start saying, God, thank you for protecting me from what I couldn't see. Because every closed door is proof that God has something bigger, better, and safer prepared for you. When the right door opens smoothly, freely, powerfully, you will understand why every other door needed to remain shut. There are moments in life when everything feels out of place, as if you're moving through a maze with no map and no clear direction. You take one step forward and two steps back. You try something new and it fails. You make plans only to watch them fall apart. In the middle of all the confusion, it's easy to think your life is just a series of accidents, coincidences, or mistakes. But hear this, nothing about your journey is wasted, nothing is accidental, and nothing is random. God is a master planner, a divine architect. Every step you take is part of a design bigger than anything you can imagine. Think about a puzzle. When you open the box, all you see are scattered pieces that don't look like anything meaningful. Some pieces have jagged edges, some have bright colors, some are dark, and some look like they don't belong anywhere. But when the puzzle maker crafted it, every single piece was cut with precision, with intention, a place already assigned. Even the pieces that look strange or insignificant are absolutely necessary for the picture to be complete. Your life is just like that puzzle. You may be in a season that feels dark, confusing, or painful. Peace is going to fit perfectly into the bigger picture God is forming. Nothing is wasted. Sometimes the path God designs for you doesn't look like the path you imagine. You wanted straight lines, predictable turns, and easy steps. But instead, you find yourself walking through winding roads, detours, and unexpected shifts. You might think you're off track, but God says, you're exactly where I need you to be. The very things you call interruptions are part of the instructions. The very things you call delays are part of the development. The very things you call setbacks are part of the setup. Imagine you're using a GPS. When you make a wrong turn, the system doesn't yell at you or cancel your destination. It just recalculates. It takes your new position into account and creates another route to get you where you're supposed to be. God does the same thing. Even when you take a wrong turn, even when you mess up, even when you drift off the path, He recalculates. Your mistakes can't cancel His map. Your detours can't derail His destiny. Your failures can't frustrate His plan. God knows that every turn before you take it, every step before you walk it, every season before you enter it, your path is designed. Daily life shows you this more than you realize. Think about the moments when you were late, frustrated, rushing, and everything felt out of sync, only to later realize that your timing protected you from something harmful or connected you to someone important. Or those times when you didn't get what you prayed for, but you received something better instead. When you ended up somewhere you didn't plan to be and discovered it was exactly where you needed to be. That's not random, that's design. Even the people you meet along your path are part of the divine arrangement. Some were meant to walk with you for a season, some for a lifetime, some simply to teach you one unforgettable lesson. Every encounter shapes your journey. Every conversation, every heartbreak, every friendship, conflict, God uses them all. He weaves them together like threads in a tapestry. Up close, the threads might look messy, chaotic, or tangled. When you step back, you see beauty, purpose, and intentionality. Your personality, your strengths, your weaknesses, your passions, your struggles, they're all part of your design. God didn't give you your desires by accident. He didn't give you your talents randomly. He didn't allow your trials without purpose. Everything you've lived through is shaping you for what's ahead. And sometimes the path God designed will take you through isolation, not because you're forgotten, but because you're being refined. Think of a diamond. Before it shines, it's buried deep underground under pressure and darkness. Before it's displayed, it's cut, shaped, and polished. The process isn't pleasant, but the result is priceless. When God isolates you, it's because He's preparing you. When He takes you off certain paths, it's because your next step requires clarity, strength, and focus. You might feel like your life is moving slower than others. You might look around and see people getting ahead, getting married, getting promoted, starting families, building careers, and you wonder why your path feels delayed. But your timing is not their timing. Your path is not their path. Your story is not their story. Designed yours uniquely, intentionally, and perfectly for you. If you arrived too early, you wouldn't be ready. If you arrived too late, you would miss it. But God is never early and never late. He is exact. There will come a moment when you look back on everything you've endured and say, now I see it. Now I understand why that had to happen. Now I understand why God took me that way. Because clarity often comes in hindsight. And when the pieces finally come together, when the doors open, when the purpose unfolds, you will realize that every twist, every turn, every uncomfortable season was guiding you, preparing you, and positioning you for the life God always intended for you. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must loosen their grip on something they once thought they could never live without. It might be a relationship, a job, a dream, a habit, or even a version of themselves they've outgrown. Letting go is never easy because we are wired to cling to what feels familiar, even if it's no longer good for us, even if it's draining us, even if God Himself has already moved us beyond it. But hear this truth deep in your spirit: when God releases something from your life, holding on to it will only hold you back. We often treat life like a closet full of old clothes. There are shirts we haven't worn in years, shoes that no longer fit, jackets that are out of season, but we keep them anyway. Why? Because they remind us of who we used to be. If you hold on to what doesn't fit anymore, you'll never have room for what God wants to give you next. Some people and situations serve their purpose in your life, but their season is over. And once a season ends, no amount of forcing, begging, or trying can make it feel the same again. Letting go is painful because the human heart loves stability. We cling to what we know. We cling to what once made us comfortable. We cling to the memories, the emotions, the familiar routines. But sometimes the past becomes a prison. While you're holding on to what's familiar, God is calling you into what's faithful. Think about a child learning to walk. They cling tightly to the furniture, holding on to the couch with everything they have because it feels safe. But at some point, they must let go of the couch to discover they can walk on their own. If they never release what they're holding on to, they will never learn how strong their legs truly are. God sometimes removes the couch in your life, the thing you lean on too heavily, so you can discover strength and potential you didn't know you had. Many people stay connected to things that are no longer aligned with their destiny. They hold on because they fear the uncertainty of the future. They fear being alone. They fear starting over. They fear the unknown. But what if the unknown is where your breakthrough lives? What if the unfamiliar holds the blessing you've been praying for? What if the thing you're scared to release is the very thing blocking your path? Some relationships served their purpose. They taught you love, patience, resilience, discernment. But they were not meant to go with you into your next chapter. Yet you keep trying to revive what God has already disconnected. You keep watering a flower God already uprooted. And the more you water it, the more drained you become, because anything outside of God's timing will exhaust you. Imagine holding a rope tightly. Someone pulls from the other end. The tighter you hold, the deeper the rope cuts into your skin. You feel the burn, the pressure, the pain. But the moment you let go, the pain stops. You were hurting yourself trying to hold on to something that was pulling away from you. Many people carry emotional scars because they held on too long. Not because they were weak, but because they cared deeply. But caring doesn't mean clinging. Love doesn't mean limitation. Loyalty doesn't mean losing yourself. Letting go does not mean the memory disappears. It doesn't mean the lesson fades. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It simply means you choose peace over pain, growth over stagnation, and destiny over familiarity. There are blessings waiting for you that can only come after you release something else. God will never allow your hands to remain full of the old when He's trying to place something new in them. He won't force you to let go. You must choose it. Just like a tree releases its leaves in autumn because the new growth cannot appear until the old leaves fall, you too must release the things that no longer nourish you. It's a natural process, but it's also a spiritual one. Think about how many times God protected you by ending something you thought you needed. A friendship drifted apart, and you later realized that person wasn't rooted in truth. A job ended suddenly, and only months later you stepped into something better, suited for your gifts. Plan failed, and then you discovered a path you never knew existed. In the moment, it felt like loss. Looking back, it feels like liberation. Letting go is an act of faith. It's saying, God, I trust that what you have ahead of me is greater than what I'm leaving behind. It's trusting that your future is not tied to what walked away. It's believing that the God who authored your beginning is capable of rewriting your next chapter with beauty, strength, and divine purpose. You are not leaving empty-handed. You are leaving with lessons, wisdom, maturity, and growth. You are stepping forward with clarity and insight. And sometimes the best thing you can do for your spirit is release what God has already removed. So today, lift your hands, loosen your grip, let go of what's already gone. Because the moment you release the past, the future God designed for you can finally begin to unfold. Letting go is not losing, it is making room for something better. And God always fills empty hands with something greater. Feel like everything around you is moving except you. Doors open easily for others. Opportunities seem to fall into their hands. Progress comes quickly to people around you, and yet you find yourself waiting, and waiting. At first, you are patient, then confusion sets in, then frustration, then doubt. You start to ask, God, why is this taking so long? Why does it feel like I'm standing still? Why am I delayed? But what you call a delay, God calls development. The waiting season is not empty. It is full of purpose. It is the classroom where God trains you, strengthens you, matures you, prepares you for what He has already written into your destiny. You cannot step into greatness unprepared, and you cannot carry blessings you aren't strong enough to hold. So God uses delays not to deny you, but to develop you. Think about a seed planted in soil. You water it, the sun warms it, the earth surrounds it, but nothing seems to be happening. Days pass, weeks pass, sometimes months pass. Still there is no sign of growth on the surface. But beneath the soil, the seed is changing. It is cracking open. Its roots are stretching. Its foundation is forming. Before anything can rise above the ground, it must first develop below the ground. Your life is like that seed. You may not see growth yet, but God is growing your roots before He ever reveals your fruit. Some of the most powerful transformations happen in the seasons of silence, when it feels like God is not speaking, not moving, not answering. Silence does not mean absence. Silence often means construction, and construction is noisy, messy, and hidden behind barriers. When a building is being prepared, everything is covered up. You cannot see the progress, but progress is happening. Likewise, God hides you while He builds you. The delay is His divine, under construction sign. Daily life shows you that waiting often produces something better. Think about cooking. You want something fast. You use a microwave. It heats quickly, but lacks depth, richness, and flavor. But when you slow cook a meal, the ingredients blend, the flavors deepen, and what comes out is richer, stronger, and more satisfying. Fast blessings fade quickly, but blessings develop slowly. Blessings seasoned with patience, faith, endurance, and character. Those blessings last. Sometimes the delay is God protecting you from something you're not ready for. Imagine a parent teaching a child to ride a bike. The child wants to go fast, legs pumping, eyes bright with excitement, but the parent holds the back of the bike. They won't let go yet. The child gets frustrated. Let me go. I can do it. But the parent knows that if they release the bike too soon, the child will fall hard. So they hold on steady in the bike, guiding the movement, strengthening the child's balance. Only when the child is ready do they let go. In the same way, God holds on to you in the delay, not to restrict you, to strengthen you. Sometimes the delay exists because the blessing itself is not ready. Think about ordering furniture. You pick the perfect piece, place the order, and yet the delivery date is weeks away. You didn't do anything wrong. The company didn't forget you. What you ordered simply needed time to be built. Some blessings are still being crafted. Some opportunities are still being shaped. Some people you are meant to meet are still being prepared themselves. The delay is not about you. It is about time and aligning perfectly. And sometimes the delay is meant to develop your character. You cannot pray for patience and expect instant results. Patience is formed in waiting. You cannot pray for strength and expect no battles. Strength is formed through resistance. You cannot pray for wisdom and expect no confusion. Wisdom is formed through experience. Every delay in your life has been molding you, carving you, stretching you, and refining you. One of the biggest lessons people learn is that delayed does not mean denied. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. God doesn't work on your schedule. He works on His, and His timing is always perfect. Think about the story of a flight delay. Sometimes you're sitting in an airport irritated, wondering what's taking so long, but you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Maybe the pilot needed extra rest. Maybe the weather wasn't safe. Maybe the plane needed maintenance. You only see the delay. The airline sees the danger. Likewise, God delays things to protect you from dangers you never even knew existed. Waiting seasons also purify your motives. When you want something and you want it quickly, you may not realize whether you want it for the right reasons. But when God makes you wait, you begin to understand what truly matters. You start appreciating what you once took for granted. You begin to see what is essential and what is unnecessary. You become grateful instead of entitled. When the blessing finally arrives, when the door opens, when the prayer is answered, when the breakthrough comes, you will be ready. The confidence will be different. The gratitude will be deeper. The wisdom will be richer. The character will be stronger. You will walk into the blessing prepared, stable, and grounded. So if you are in a season of delay, lift your head. God hasn't forgotten you. He is developing you. He is strengthening your roots so that when you rise, you will rise unshakable. Delay is not punishment. It is preparation for the greatness ahead of you. Keep waiting. Keep growing. Your time is coming. Every new season God prepares for you begins first in the mind. Before God changes your situation, He changes the way you see your situation. Before He opens a new door, He renews your perspective so you can recognize it. Because the truth is, you cannot step into a new beginning while thinking with an old mentality. You cannot walk into a new chapter carrying the mindset of a past season. The greatest transformation God performs is not around you, but within you. You can give someone a new environment, a new opportunity, new relationship. But if their mindset is still damaged, bitter, fearful, or stuck in yesterday, they will sabotage what God is trying to bless them with. That's why God often spends more time renewing your mind than rearranging your circumstances. Your life will always rise to the level of your thinking. Think about someone who gets a job promotion. On paper, it's a new position with better pay and higher responsibility. But if inside they keep believing, I'm not good enough, I don't belong here, I'm going to fail, they will carry yesterday's limitations into today's opportunity. The promotion was external, but the transformation must be internal. God wants to upgrade your life, but He must upgrade your mindset first. A fresh mindset means letting go of old patterns of thinking that kept you trapped. It means releasing thoughts of fear, doubt, insecurity. I can't, so that you can embrace faith, courage, confidence. And God can. God cannot pour new wisdom into a mind that is cluttered with old worry. He cannot fill a spirit with hope that is still clouded by past disappointment. You have to create space for transformation. Daily life teaches us this over and over again. Think about moving into a new home. Before you bring your new belongings inside, you must clear out the old clutter. If you bring every unnecessary box, every broken item, every piece of trash into your new home, the new house won't feel new. It will feel crowded, chaotic, and confusing. In the same way, if you bring every old fear, every negative thought, every past memory into a new season, your spirit becomes too crowded for growth. A fresh mindset also requires forgiveness. Sometimes forgiveness of others. Sometimes forgiveness of yourself. Many people cannot step into a new chapter because they are chained to guilt, shame, or resentment. They replay past mistakes like a movie stuck on repeat, or they hold grudges against people who have long forgotten the conflict. But carrying bitterness into a new beginning is like carrying heavy furniture up a mountain. Every step becomes harder than it needs to be. Forgiveness doesn't free them, it frees you to think clearly again. Your mindset determines your direction. If you think small, you will live small. If you think defeated, you will live defeated. If you think like a victim, you will walk like a victim. If you begin to think with faith, if you start believing that God has good plans for you, that He is not done with you, that better is ahead and not behind, you will begin walking with strength, with confidence, with expectation. You will begin to make choices that reflect your future, not your past. Consider an athlete preparing for a race. Their training is not just physical, it is mental. They visualize themselves winning. They prepare their mind for endurance. If their mindset is weak, their body will follow. The race is won in the mind before it is ever won on the track. Your life is the same. Before you see victory externally, you must claim it internally. A fresh mindset sees possibilities where an old mindset sees problems. A fresh mindset expects progress where an old mindset expects failure. A fresh mindset believes God can do something new even when everything looks old. God is always doing something new. Many people miss it simply because they never expected it. Expectation is the doorway through which blessing enters. Sometimes God removes people, habits, or situations from your life because they shaped your thinking in a harmful way. He separates you from voices that planted insecurity, from environments that fed your worry, from relationships that taught you to doubt yourself. It's not that the people were evil. It's that your mindset was shaped by their energy. God knew He had to renew your thinking before He could elevate your life. Think of a phone that needs a software update. The device might still work. It becomes slow, glitchy, or unable to function properly because it's running on outdated software. The update improves performance, removes bugs, unlocks new features, but the phone must restart to apply the update. In the same way, God gives you spiritual updates. New wisdom, new perspective, new ideas, but to apply them, you must refresh your mind. You cannot run your life on an outdated mindset. And here is the beautiful part. Fresh mindset makes room for miracles. When you shift your thinking, you shift your atmosphere. When you believe differently, you attract differently. When you expect differently, you prepare differently. And preparation is the evidence of faith. God has a fresh start prepared for you. He is waiting for your mind to align with the new thing He is doing. This is not the season to think like the person you used to be. This is the season to think like the person you are becoming. Your life will not change until your mind does. Your path will not shift until your belief shifts. Your fresh start begins the moment your mindset does. So let God renew your thoughts. There is a mysterious and powerful force in life that most people overlook, and that force is faith. Faith is not just wishing, hoping, or positive thinking. Faith is a deliberate, confident belief in what you cannot yet see, but knowing your heart is real. It is the bridge between the invisible promise and the visible reality. Faith is the key that unlocks the doors God has prepared for you, and the engine that moves mountains, and the invisible wind that propels your dreams into existence. Without faith, the blessings God has prepared remain just that, promises waiting to manifest. But with faith, they become reality. Think about planting a seed. You bury it in soil, water it, and expose it to sunlight. Then you wait. The seed doesn't immediately grow into a tree. There is no instant tree popping out of the ground. But you don't dig it up to check if it's working. You water it, tend to it, and trust the process. That is faith. You believe that what you cannot see is already happening beneath the surface. Faith is knowing the growth is taking place even when the evidence is invisible. And in life, your breakthrough is the seed. It is there. It is alive. It needs your faith to grow into fruit. Many people miss their breakthroughs because they quit too soon. They prayed, they hoped, they worked. When nothing changed immediately, they gave up. They became discouraged and said, "It's not for me." But breakthrough always requires persistence and unwavering faith. Consider the story of someone looking for a job. They send out resumes, attend interviews, network tirelessly, but doors keep closing. Each rejection is painful, and it tests their belief. Faith is what makes them keep showing up, keep learning, keep praying, and keep trusting that God's perfect opportunity is coming. Blind optimism. It is confident expectation anchored in God's promise. Faith is also active, not passive. It's not simply believing that things will get better. It's stepping forward even when you don't have all the answers. Imagine a tightrope walker suspended high above the ground. They cannot see the safety net far below, but they step forward with unwavering focus, trusting every fiber of training and preparation. That is faith in action. Your breakthrough often requires movement before you have clarity, steps before you see the entire staircase, and trust before the door is fully visible. In daily life, faith transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Consider a small business owner struggling to keep their company afloat. Sales are low, bills are piling up, and competitors seem to have the advantage. Yet the owner continues to pray, plan, and work diligently.